Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. Question for you. How many times have you heard me say that I firmly believe that even if things go horrifically wrong for XRP in the United States, let's say it's just outright banned, we can't even hold it here in the United States. How many times have you heard me say that even if a disaster scenario like that happens, XRP still has a very bright future literally everywhere else on the planet? I've said that so many times. Now, I don't think that disaster scenario is going to occur. But look at this headline from the Crypto Basic. Fortune article says Ripple and XRP could succeed regardless of SEC case outcome. So I'll tell you here, even at the outset of the video, this is a mainstream media publication. And the author of this particular article that they're referencing has been covering this since, I think this is 2016. So he's been aware of Ripple and XRP for a long time, has been a skeptic for that entire time until very recently. And now this guy is convinced, after being a skeptic for over half a decade, based on what he has learned, he has turned from skeptic into a true believer of the technology, and he thinks that XRP is going to be around for the long term. Now, I believed that for the longest time. From 2017, I found that possibility to be very reasonable, and then the more time passes and the more adoption occurs, the more obvious it is that, yeah, it really is here to stay. And now it's so entrenched, it's just, it couldn't be, I couldn't be more convinced at this point, compared to how convinced I am to when I jumped in late 2017. I mean, granted, I still had a lot to learn even then, but, getting caught up to speed in especially in the first half of a year, I was pretty well caught up to speed. I had spent so much damn time on it. I still was optimistic, but the amount of confidence I have now compared to then, even though I was confident back then, it's just on a whole different level here. XRP ain't going nowhere, son. Even in a disaster scenario. But it's just nice to see somebody who was a skeptic for over half a decade come around and be like, yeah, looks like this actually is a long-term future, no matter what happens with the SEC case. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so this article's covering what was written in here in Fortune Crypto. This piece from literally yesterday was titled, Ripple and XRP may finally be for real. And we are at a point now where it's just like, it's not reasonable to be a skeptic. We have real world proof of actual adoption. And so he is focusing, pretty well on what Ripple is doing with XRP here. But there's additional adoption which he may not even be aware of outside of that. And all you need for a crypto to have long-term viability is to be adopted for one purpose. And if people adopt it broadly for that one purpose, then it's going to stay as long as it's valuable for that specific purpose. Now, in the case of XRP, there are multiple reasons, but he's found this one. And he recognizes that even with just this one, yes, XRP is here to stay. And it's just so exciting to be here at this point in time because there's almost no money and almost no humans invested in crypto right now. Something like 4% of humans have ever held Bitcoin at any point in their entire lives. That's it, about 4%. Anyway, piece reads as follows. Roberts taps Ripple's on-demand liquidity as its key to sustainable success. In a recent newsletter, Fortune crypto editor Jeff John Roberts asserted that Ripple has finally found a long-term value proposition for the company and XRP, the native token of the XRP ledger. In the newsletter titled, Ripple and XRP may finally be for real, Roberts reveals that he has always been skeptical of the value proposition of the cryptocurrency until he met with Ripple president Monica Long this week. Notably, the Kings of Crypto, Coinbase, and the Next Generation Finance author now believes Ripple and XRP have found their niche with Ripple's on-demand liquidity product. Now, folks, this isn't going to be surprising to any of this, but it's more vindication of what we have known for years and years and years. And it's just anytime you get somebody, especially if it's from a mainstream source like this, to acknowledge it, it's just kind of nice. It's just kind of nice to be vindicated and for other people to finally freaking get it. And you could say, and I would understand the skepticism more so back in 2017. So the idea of what Ripple ultimately did, it has achieved, but they hadn't achieved it in 2017. So the idea of it, that always made sense to me the whole time, the idea, but they hadn't proved it yet. So if you were skeptical back in 2017 because they hadn't proved it, even if you could understand the mechanics of how an on-demand liquidity flow works, I can understand the skepticism then, but it's not reasonable in 2023. It works. It's not a science experiment. It's here. And those cryptocurrencies that are functionally useful are here for the long haul. And that's where all the money is ultimately going to go when it comes to investment. That's where it's going. Piece continues. As highlighted by Roberts and previously reported by the Crypto Basic, the on-demand liquidity product has grown rapidly in the last 2 years from just 3 countries in 2020 to 40 payout markets today, representing nearly 90% of the foreign exchange market. Roberts disclosed that Long explained that Ripple achieved this growth by focusing on partnerships with small and medium-sized banks that appreciated the lower transactions costs. So just pausing it right there, a couple things. So in terms of the growth, and I wish they had this stat in there too, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but you'll know what I'm talking about if you've been following anything that's happening within the last year and a half, or even just that period of time. Back, it may have been last spring or summer, that whatever the latest figure was at that point in time, Brad Garlinghouse had announced that, and I think it was even in the quarterly XRP markets reports from Ripple, if I'm not mistaken, that on-demand liquidity year over year was up like something like 800 or 900%. That requires the usage of XRP. Ding, ding, ding. Like, of course it's working. And then as far as the reason that they have this growth, small and medium-sized banks, yep, absolutely. And this goes back to understanding as a business who your target customer actually is. The best potential customers for Ripple would not be the largest banks out there. And they didn't know that in the earliest days. When they were still figuring stuff out. But they painfully figured it out. I remember they were talking to Citi and nothing was coming. They were like, yeah, but look at what you can do. But the truth is that was never going to work, at least not in the earliest of days, because it's the largest banks that are making the money by there being this friction in the space, because it's the small, medium-sized banks that don't have Nostro accounts the world over, so they have to tap into the liquidity of their larger competitors. So yes, the smallest banks on the planet are paying the largest banks on the planet money so that they can facilitate cross-border transactions, because they don't have deposit accounts all over the world. They don't. They can't. They don't have the funds. They're small and mid-sized banks. So, of course, those would be the banks most obviously willing to jump on board. And then, when that source of that friction, which results in money for the largest banks, dries up, then the largest banks have less incentive to have a bunch of money sitting around all over the damn planet. And maybe at that point, they might be more inclined to utilize XRP as a bridge currency, but they'd be the last ones to. That just makes sense. And so the fact that we're seeing here that they went after the small and medium-sized banks, yup, they figured that out. Piece continues. For context, Ripple's on-demand liquidity utilizes XRP as a bridge currency to allow for near-instant cross-border payments at low cost. Consequently, the author expressed the belief that with this model, the company may be positioned to succeed regardless of the outcome of its legal battle with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. And here's a quote. All of this is to say that Ripple, more than ever before, has figured out a long-term value proposition for both the company and XRP, in that it may be poised to succeed regardless of how its big court case turns out, end quote. That was a quote from the author. Yep. And I've been saying that for the longest damn time. Of course, even if you get a disaster of an outcome. Well, first of all, that's just at the district court level anyway, so you'd go to appellate and then potentially Supreme Court, so there's years of battle if it comes to it. But I don't think that's probable. I'm just saying. But even if the Supreme Court smacked down Ripple and couldn't exist in the United States, it's going to exist elsewhere, and on-demand liquidity will work utilizing XRP in every country except for any quarter that would touch the United States. That would be it. And that would still be massive. That would still be absolutely massive. And it's stupid. And eventually somebody would probably figure that out and probably try to find a way to remedy that situation. Maybe. I don't know. But look, again, I don't think it's coming to that. Because that's not right. That is not what's just. But anyway, writing's on the wall here, son. How many of you out there, let me know seriously in the comment section below, but how many of you have similar thinking to me in this idea that as long as there is one use case, at least one use case for a crypto, as long as that persists, then the crypto is going to continue to exist and people broadly will recognize that. especially in more mature markets, as people parse out increasingly the differences between cryptocurrencies. That's where the money flows. That is where the money will flow. And then as that happens, it just means XRP is going to get whatever percentage of the crypto pie there is, and the pie just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger over time, despite contractions as markets pull back over time. There are bear markets, but an overall bigger pie, just trending endlessly bigger. XRP is going to have a massive slice of that, I think. Absolutely massive. That's my belief. We'll see what happens. And if I'm wrong, it all goes to zero, and that is possible. That's a hell of a way to end a video, right? I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.